I think the album's got staying power.
Okay.
None of the lyrics are like dated. Nothing's super. What would you call that? Current event.
Oh,
None of
topical.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, it's like there's staying power and there's re-listenability, and the lyrics are motivational to me, anyways. It got me doing different things in my life. One thing, I was looking through the comments of the last time we spoke because I was kind of thinking like, okay, what did people say that they might want to hear that I didn't get to last time we spoke? And one thing was, is people were asking, hey, why didn't you ask him about his lyrical content? It seems like there's some history there, maybe some incarceration or something like that. And I was like, hell, I didn't know, it didn't even come up. So if you don't mind, would you speak on your lyrical content? Where does it come from? What are your lyrics like? Where do they derive from? Where are you getting this content? Because it does kind of sound like you might have a background with that, or maybe some close friends or something. So where are you coming up with these lyrics?
Yeah. So I mean, it's like a really broad, like tough question. It's kind of, so I've been writing in some form or another for my entire adult life, like
Mm-hmm.
keeping journals, writing like lyrics for a band that I would never start, you know what I mean, or poems,
Sure.
or any sort of, like, I'm always writing. I've just always been writing, and so I've been writing long enough, and I've learned from enough different writers, and I've read enough different writers, a lot of different books, throughout the periods, I guess pretty much the last 20 years, where I've gotten into different genres of, literature or authors or anything like that, and discovered like different philosophies. Then, going to college and then getting exposed to other stuff like that, has like all kind of, you know, ultimately led to it's left its imprint in some way or another. And so, like, when I write, um, like, I don't ever write anything that, like, I wouldn't be able to, I don't want to say, like, to be able to, like, back up, essentially. Like, I'm not being
Sure.
like, yo, I'm out here I'm gonna kill you when I see you, or type stuff. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Yeah.
that stuff's cool, but like, I mean, I'm not gonna kill somebody. You know what I mean? And so, like, I always try to kind of write from a really actual perspective. And everything that I write is like, it's experiences of mine, or thoughts or feelings, or something that's happened to me, or something that I did. Um, and but I also like to kind of write for other people as well. So, like, all right. So, for instance, I've never been to prison or jail. Okay.
Okay.
But I don't know. I feel like maybe any good writer, right? There's metaphor or meaning, or symbolism in that, right? Like, being grounded is like being in jail, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
a very elementary explanation of it. But
No, but those
so,
two go.
but I have friends, and I have people who, like, have gone to jail or gone to prison, and there's also a lot of people who've, like, never been in the military. But, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you can't take something out of what's written, or what I'm saying, right? Like, um, so that's kind of the thing. It's like, oh man, like, there's a song for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
this person who,
Representation.
yeah, somebody's like, oh crap, like, for a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the Conduct Unbecoming song is like, his, like, struggle with, like, PTSD or survivor's guilt or something. And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe a little bit of it, yeah, like, that's definitely like a very personal song for me. But it's also like, I don't want people to think that song's like, oh, you have to have been in the military to feel this. And a lot of people who haven't, or gone to war, or but have lost, like, brothers, or have felt a certain way, and in that song in particular, right, that's an example, right? So, a lot of, like,
Yeah.
my veteran friends who mess with the band, really like that song, but also just other people who have no affiliation with the military
Sure.
also really like that song, because it's, I mean, what is like life? It's struggle, you know.
For
So
everybody.
yeah, right. So everyone's struggle is in a different direction, but it's a struggle nonetheless. So you can
Yeah.
look to your left and your right, and you can see, there's a commonality in that. So, like that's kind of how I write. I write, like, I would say mainly these are all like things that have happened to me or ways I've felt for sure. Like I don't ever
Yeah.
like every single line, every single word like has meaning, has like there's like something to it. Like if I had enough time or if I had enough drinks, I could talk to you like all night about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of, I writing lyrics is my least favorite and my favorite thing.
Nice.
Like,
Dude, it's stressful.
yeah, it's
And
really,
it's
it's
but it's
really tough because
also,
I
you
really
know,
like, it's very important for me too. And so,
yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to have been, so the way, at least in my experiences, I don't have to have been involved like firsthand in an experience to be affected by that experience.
yeah,
My
yeah, for sure.
sister has gone through some things that I can tell you I could write a song about.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's a really great answer. And I kind of thought that might be what your answer was. And everybody needs representation.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's like
and
songwriters too, right? Like they write songs from the perspective of someone
oh,
else. Like, right?
yeah.
Like, like a lot of singer songwriters do that where they sing about they're writing a song as if they are this person. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. No, a lot of bands, a lot of singer songwriters, a lot of poets do that, and I think that's important.
Yeah. And I
Every
think why can't, punk or hardcore bands do the same thing. And some do. Like, I always think of like, I don't know, the first thing that comes to mind is like Modern Life is War was like one
mhm.
of the ones that really like wrote from other perspectives. But like, yeah, I don't think you should be labeled like a fake or false
uh,
if you're writing
I
songs that
definitely,
about other, experiences. Like,
yeah, I think that would be pretty unfair to do that to somebody. Because I mean, the reality is that I think specifically punk rockers and hardcore kids and like skinheads and such, we all have this like weird obsession with authenticity. But what is that really? Like, I don't know that I want to be around that as much. But I mean, everybody should be able to speak from their perspective, speak from their point of view. And I think that I love your music and your lyrics. I think that I feel representation of, different kinds in
yeah, I
your
mean,
music.
like if you want to say that the things that I say or write about are corny or dumb, then absolutely, right? Like that's fine. I don't care. You're allowed to, but you could take whatever you want out of it, right? So some people will see it and they'll take a lot of stuff out of it. Other people will take it at face value and say, "Oh, I'm not that person, so I couldn't relate to that." But it's funny, like as many people as like that have mentioned like they really like the lyrics a lot. There's like also like a weird amount of people that are like the lyrics are so dumb and corny, and I'm like
What?
the like extremity of both is so funny to me too because it's like I don't know. Some
I can
people are like
see
that's
how
the
that'd
best
be
part, and other
polarizing,
people are like
though.
it's the worst part, and I'm like, man, that's crazy.
That I mean, I can see how they'd be polarizing, but I also think that people that would say that are probably either not understanding it or that's just not who you're speaking to, and that's okay too, man. Like, we're not all the same. We're not all gonna be the same. And I think, I guess like you said, it is what it is. Like, what are you gonna do? Force them to like your lyrics? Like, that's kind of
Well, I've said this before, but like I don't like that is a choice, right? You're choosing not to like that. I don't like that. Well, that's your choice, or you're choosing not to like it. But you know, that's fine. But if you can take something from anything, man, from anything in the
for
world,
sure.
everything
Well,
from the best experience to the worst experience to the best book to the worst book and everything in between. There's something to be taken from everything, and I use those. You should always use the opportunity. I learned just as much from like the best leaders I've ever had. I've learned just as much from the worst, like the absolute worst
for
boss.
sure.
I've been like, I see that and I'm like, okay, this is the worst leader I've ever had in my life, or the worst boss. I'm never going to be like this when I get into that position, right? And like that's the thing
Bro.
to take away is like I knew how that person made me feel, and I knew like what things they were doing wrong or could have done better, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to apply it.